We're here today on an initial permanency hearing. Present today is Mr. Alvey for the Department of Family and Protective Services. CASA is present. It appears to me we've got several individuals from CASA with us this morning. Ms. Grant is here on behalf of Ms. Mullinax, representing the child. Ms. Seal is present, representing Jennifer Walters, the mother, who is also present with us. And Ms. Sturkey is present interpreting for us. I will swear her in before we proceed with any kind of testimony. Ms. Ferguson is here present on behalf of Misty Parr and Gregory Parr, who I think are also both present. And Ms. Sapien is present as the guardian ad litem for the mother, Jennifer Walters. Okay. As everybody can note, I have greatly reduced the pace at which I'm speaking. I will ask each of you to do the same. If you get going too fast, I'm going to start waving my hands. All right. Then, Mr. Alvey, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Your Honor, I'll allow Ms. Summer Daniels, the St. Francis Ministries, to briefly tell us any differences.
Rose is doing very well in placement. I have no concerns whatsoever at this time. Rose has been more stable since May. And she has not been having auditory or visual hallucinations since around the end of May. Rose is continuing to attend individual and group counseling. And she has regular video calls with Ms. Parr and Ms. Walters.
All right, anything else?
Coming up on next school year, she has an IEP in place. And she'll be attending 9th grade.
So if there's somebody that's not familiar, IEP stands for?
Individual education plan for Rose.
All right, and as far as services, are we making progress on those?
Yes, we are.
So everyone is in compliance and is cooperating?
Yes.
Ms. Seal?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Daniels, how frequent are we having in-person visitation between Rose and Ms. Walter?
I'm not sure on frequency. I know that she's been able to come home and have those visits a couple of times since she's been placed there.
Are those visits based more on the stability of Rose and the availability of Ms. Walter's schedule?
Yes.
When those have occurred, if you know, have they gone well?
They have.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Sapien?
Nothing after Ms. Seal's questions.
Mr. Alvey, anything further from the department this morning?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Seal, do you all have anything else we need to discuss today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Sapien, anything else?
No, Judge.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Ferguson, any other issues to raise or questions?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. The visitations were a little bit difficult. But I think that's to be expected. Part of it's because of Miss Walters' living situation. And the other thing was, it was a little, I think my client would say it was a little difficult when Rose comes home because she then doesn't want to go back to placement. But I think they've got that rectified by doing visitations there in the Metroplex instead of bringing her into Miss Parr's home and then having to have the child return is sometimes difficult emotionally for her. But I think that's being addressed. But otherwise, I think everyone's is happy with her placement.
Okay, that was an issue that I wondered about, having read the report, how Rose was handling coming home and going back. All right, then, Ms. Grant, do you have a recommendation today?
Judge Miss Mullinax forwarded me the information for the case on her behalf, and she recommends that the placement can remain the same. She didn't have any new concerns. Rose was doing okay with returning home. When Rose would rather either be home, obviously, or stay where she is if she can't be home. Being home right now is not going to work, and so the placement as is appropriate for now. She
right.
Miss Molnack child doesn't need anything at the moment, Your Honor, and that the child will be updated regarding this hearing after we get done today.
Okay, thank you. And Casa.
I spoke to Rose 3 days ago, I believe, and she was doing good. The same, I asked her if she was happy.
Slow down.
Sorry. When I spoke to Rose 3 days ago, I asked her if she was happy in placement. She said she would rather be home, but if she couldn't be home, then yes, she is happy. She was having an issue with a girl there that was also on Summer's caseload, but the Shatoria, the house parent supervisor, said that she thought it was just normal teenage girl stuff. So I recommend that the placement stays the same if we can't find something closer.
All right, thank you. Are we actively looking for a closer placement? And that's a question for Ms. Daniels, I guess.
We have discussed it with my supervisor. I believe we're going to have a conversation again. We wanted Rose to be more stable before we could do that. I believe before I got the case, there was some question about the Lubbock RTC, that is St. Francis, and they at the time would not take her. They wanted her to be more stable.
Okay. But when we think she's achieved that, we will actively look.
Absolutely. It would be best for her to be closer.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else today?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No.
Today, I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue the child's placement and find that to return the child home at this point in time might jeopardize the health and safety of the child. Our next review hearing will be November 14th of 2023. And that will also be on a 9 o'clock docket. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, a 1 o'clock docket. We are here set for our adversary hearing today. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement and consent of the parties. We do have people all over the panhandle this morning logged in. And Ms. Taylor is making our record. We're also live streaming. All right. I've also just had a Lori Martinez log in. Is that also for the next case?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I'm being told that Sarah and Kelsey are for this case.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Todd Alvey on behalf of the Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Bailey Sapien for Nathaniel Carruthers. I am present. I do not see my client.
I don't show that your client is present, and I'm also looking to see if Ms. Stevens. All right, anybody had any contact with Ms. Stevens?
Judge, she emailed me this morning for the Zoom link and I sent it to her, so she's aware of the hearing. I'm not sure why she hasn't logged in.
I'll shoot her a text.
Your Honor, Stacy Grant on behalf of Aaron Mullinax and the child, and I'm present ready.
Sorry about that, Your Honor. Apparently I clicked the link for August 1st and not for today. I apologize.
It's okay. You're a time traveler today.
I'm an idiot today. Sorry about that.
No, it's no big deal. Okay, and Ms. Stevens is now present with us, representing the mother, Brenda Freeman. And Ms. Stevens, your client is not present. Were you expecting her?
She's made no contact with me whatsoever, and based on everything I've read in the reports and the petition, I don't believe she's going to.
Miss Mullinax had indicated that Annika would be in the waiting room and wanted to participate today.
Do we know, could
Could be placement,
Laurie Martinez maybe be placement?
possibly, Your Honor. My apologies for not being more familiar when I'm filling in.
Your Honor, Lori's an investigator in the other case.
All right, so the only other, I've got sheriff, I've got an FBSS caseworker, Megan Gribble and Lori Martinez, and those are the only ones I have in the waiting room. So.
She could have been detained. I have child's preferences, but I just wanted to double check if she was not possibly in the waiting room. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Geary, you're an investigator working with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Yes.
And where is she currently placed?
She is at House of Hope in Missouri City,
And
Texas.
how long has she been there?
We took her on July 13th.
And has she given you any feedback as to whether or not she approves that placement?
Yes, I had, when we dropped her off, Annika was excited. She was ready for a fresh start. She is hoping to go to school, get the education she needs, also the medical care that she needs also.
My understanding is there's been some medical and psychological, emotional issues with Annika.
Yes.
And she was originally removed from her mother, Brenda Freeman, because she had been sent to the pavilion for intentionally hurting herself.
Yes, she had suicidal ideations.
And her mom was not receptive to treatment and or to the issues that Annika was showing to everybody.
Yes, that's correct.
At the time that you removed, do you believe that there was a danger if she was to be returned to her mother?
Yes.
And in fact, Brenda had made it clear then, and she's made it clear now, that she does not need Annika to be returned to her home.
That is correct.
And in fact, Miss Freeman, since the removal, has told you that she doesn't want Brenda back in her house and that she does not want to participate in any of the CPS procedures.
That is correct. Annika, she doesn't want Annika back in her household.
And that she doesn't want to complete the paperwork. She doesn't want to fill out anything, and she does not want to come to these hearings.
That is correct.
You did give her notice of how to get hold of her attorney?
Yes.
You did
I
give
had
her.
let her know on July 14th, the notice of removal and everything with the packet, but she refused whenever Officer Rodriguez and CASA advocate Jamie Hall, she did not want any of the paperwork. She refused.
And she has also been given notice of today's hearing and how to attend.
Yes.
Today, do you believe that it would be unsafe to return Annika to Brenda's care?
Yes.
Do you believe it would be contrary to Annika's general welfare to return Annika to Brenda's care?
Yes, it wouldn't be. She wouldn't need to go back to her mother's house.
Do you agree with me that there's a continuing danger if you were to return Annika to Brenda at this time?
Yes.
Pass with me, Sharon.
Judge, Ms. Aguirre, have you had any contact with Mr. Carruthers?
I did let him know that court was today just a little while ago. I sent him a text and he said he's at work.
Hang on, everybody. We lost Miss Taylor.
Father for Annika is Nathaniel Carruthers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you reached out to Mr. Carruthers?
Yes. A few minutes ago, I had texted him that we were having court and he said he was at work.
And prior to today, have you reached out to Mr. Carruthers?
Yes, I did.
Is he aware that the child is in care?
Yes, he was notified with the notice of removal and the packet along with it.
And he resides where?
He lives in Amarillo, Texas now.
Thank you. I'll pass with you.
Did Mr. Carruthers decline to take the child into his care?
When we had asked Miss Carruthers to take the child before in previous cases, he refused to take her.
Has that question been asked of him in this case?
He did not want Annika to come back. We've asked him, but I think he had an open CPS case, and so he did not want to have anything to do with Annika right now.
Okay, that's my question. Did he make that clear to you that he didn't want to be considered to be placement?
Right, he didn't.
Okay, all right. Not saying that that's what we would have done. I'm trying to find out if he declined.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Aguirre, in regards to Mr. Carruthers, it says that you mailed him the booklet of While Your Child is in Care, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many times before you sent that mail out did you speak with him?
I had sent him a text, and then I also talked to him previously, letting him know that we had Annika in our care.
Okay. And when you asked him if he wanted to be placement or if he was available to take the child, was that over the phone, with voice, or with a text message?
With voice.
And what was his response?
That he was not placement for her.
And you said he has previous CPS involvement or current besides this case?
Previous CPS history that he had open.
Okay. And so you have a contact number for him?
Yes.
Would you be able to get that number to me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Aguirre, is it your understanding that the child has no desire to see or return to the parents at this time as well?
That is correct.
Only question, Judge. Pass the witness.
All right. Anything further of this witness, Mr. Abbey?
No, Your Honor, and the department would rest.
All right, Ms. Stevens, any witnesses today?
No, Your Honor, and given the fact that my client's been fairly clear to everybody that she doesn't want involvement, I'm going to rest at this time.
All right, and Ms. Sapien?
Nothing further at this time, Judge. I'll rest.
Okay. All right, Ms. Grant, any witnesses to call today?
No witnesses, Judge. Ms. Mullinax simply had a recommendation.
All right, and if you want to go ahead and provide that, that would be great.
Judge, Ms. Mullinax recommends that Annika not be forced to participate in any visitation with either parent at this time. She is happy with her placement and wishes to continue that placement, and it's Ms. Mullinax's recommendation that be the court order.
And Casa.
Your Honor, we've spoke with Annika several times since she's been in care. We have a trip planned to go see her in 2 weeks. She seems to be doing really well. She likes her placement. She actually requested some new clothes. She said since she has been there, she's been eating very well and has gained some weight. So she said that she is really excited about starting therapy. I think that started last week. She thought that school started August 9th. And she was really looking forward to that as well. She said that she does want to get her education. She does want to do something with herself. And so we are really going to focus on working with her and getting that education going and encouraging that, and her staying in aftercare for the benefits and everything. But as of right now, she's doing really well in her placement.
All right. She's going to turn 18 in August, correct? Right. So because that puts us on a really short time views with her. And again, I'm not sure who can answer. Does she have identification? Does she have social security card, birth certificate? Does she have any of her documents?
She told me she did not.
Your Honor, Ms. Molinax reports that she does not as well and agrees that the child needs those documents.
She had a driver's license?
No, ma'am, she does not.
No.
Have we made efforts to secure any of those documents from the mother? I assume the mother would have them since she was living with the mother.
I've reached out to mom, but I have not been able to get a hold of her.
Okay. Ms. Stevens, is she taking your calls?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge, it might be beneficial to try to get replacement cards, but that's the only information I had. Ms. Molinax is in a trial today. I will reach out to her and see if any efforts have been made to get a replacement social security card or replacement documents, but I'll touch base with her regarding the August 19th birth date and see if we can do anything to replace the items.
Ms. Geary, is the mother responding to you at all right now?
No, she didn't respond about court this morning. So, I can try again and see if I can get maybe a social security card or birth certificate from her.
All right. And moving forward, Ms. Harmon, are you going to be the permanency specialist?
Yes, ma'am, I am the permanency specialist. When she does turn 18, though, the case will transfer to a different unit and I will no longer have her.
Right. Well, all I know to do is say, everybody, burn the candle at both ends to try to secure what we can for this kiddo before she turns 18.
And Your Honor, could I just ask CPS, could y'all just email me to make sure I have the correct information for her so I can continue trying to get a hold of the mom? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right then, at this time, I do find the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator of the child, Annika, based on a continuing and ongoing danger to the child to be placed back in the home with the mother, and that father has declined placement of the child. I'm not going to order that there be any visitation at this time and until, unless the child wants that contact. I'm going to order Ms. Freeman and Mr. Carruthers to turn over any documents that are in their possession, such as social security cards, original birth certificates, driver's license, IDs, any of that identifying documentation that establishes and validates the child's identity and birth. So that'll be a part of this order. We'll see if that can't expedite anything. Failure to turn over those documents within 15 days may result in a show cause hearing and contempt of court. Let's put some teeth in it. So if we don't get them, everybody knows what to do. Our status hearing is scheduled for August 23rd, which is actually a few days after the child turns 18. So I guess we'll know at that point in time whether she wants to stay in extended care. Okay. All right. We'll get back together on August 23rd. That'll be on the 9 o'clock docket. So probably really won't be much of a status hearing, but we'll get back together and see where we're at. We are here today on
Okay,
adversary
thank you very
hearing,
much. I appreciate it.
and we are conducting this through the Zoom program under a finding of good cause and agreement and consent of parties. We've got folks logged in from a number of different locations.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
William Taylor, attorney for Pedro Perez. He is present, father of Brianne, and we are ready, Your Honor.
All right, and also present is Ms. Lorella Kroll, the mother, and also the father of Cameron is Cash Kroll, and I believe he is also logged in. I did not receive attorney paperwork from Ms. Kroll or from Mr. Kroll. We discussed this at our first setting, and I think we talked pretty thoroughly about how that needed to get to us. So I did not receive anything from either of them. So they are both here without attorneys today.
Yes, Brooks Barfield, ad litem for the children, present and ready.
Okay. All right. Let me just ask real quick. Ms. Kroll, did you turn that paperwork in to anybody? You're muted. You're muted.
I had sent it from my email, and for whatever reason, she wasn't receiving my emails, and I had it resent today about 9 o'clock this morning.
To who?
To Miss Martinez. That's the only way I knew to send it to anybody. The only email address I had.
I did receive it at 9:48.
Okay, so less than 30 minutes ago.
Yes.
All right, same thing. Did you fill out that paperwork?
No, I did not. I'm seeking my own attorney.
Okay. But you don't have anybody here with you today?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, folks, I can't appoint lawyers, 25 minutes before a hearing. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we were here together on July 13th. We reset for today to try to give you all adequate time to get that done. We have time constraints on these cases. So, I can't wave a magic wand. I mean, we had, sufficient time to get that done. And so we're going to proceed today.
Judge, with that in mind, is there a possibility that I can talk with Mr. and Miss Kroll, just me to start with? In a
Sure, I think absolutely. And I don't know whether you want Casa or Mr. Barfield.
No, let me just talk with them and see where we're at.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, Mr. Miss Kroll, I'm going to put you all in a breakout room with Mr. Albee.
Okay.
You're going to get some prompts on your devices, and you can just say join. I think is what it asks you to do. Mr. Albee's the department's attorney, and y'all can visit for a minute.
Thank you, Judge. I think we're where I can reach or make an announcement concerning this case.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the parties have agreed or will agree that the department should continue as temporary managing conservator of these two children, that their current placement, which is with the maternal grandparent, will remain the same, that the Krolls will be ordered to work services after an assessment's done prior to a status hearing, that they will begin receiving minimum an hour per week visitation, but that visitation will be subject to increase as they work their services. Both Mr. Perez and Mr. Kroll have child support orders in place, Your Honor. We would ask that those be redirected to the department so that that can go to placement. And Your Honor, we'll begin trying to consolidate all of our cases together.
All right, so Jess, you said Ms. Kroll and Mr. Kroll both have support orders?
Mr. Kroll and Mr. Perez have support orders.
Okay. All right. I thought that must be what you said, but I want to make sure. Okay. Ms. Kroll, you understand what Mr. Alley has announced, and is that your agreement?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right. All right. Additionally, I will look for Ms. Martinez to send that attorney request paperwork to Ms. Katie, and then I'll look that over. If you qualify, I'll get an attorney appointed for you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Kroll, is that what you have agreed to, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I will retain my own attorney.
Okay. The sooner the better.
Your Honor, I think we add to that the agreement that Mr. Perez will have only minimal service claim requirements because he wasn't involved in any way with the situation that causes children to come into care.
We'll agree with that, Your Honor.
Okay. So between now and their next hearing, obviously they'll be creating those service plans. So, Mr. Taylor, if there's any objection, we can talk about it at the status hearing.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Good. All right. And Mr. Barfield, your agreement and your recommendation?
My recommendation is that the department continue to remain as temporary managing conservator and remain with placement as is with maternal grandmother. I made contact and it seems to be working just fine. So I'm on board with this agreement.
And CASA?
I agree for the department to remain temporary managing conservator and to continue placement. I saw the girls yesterday and they're doing really good at placement.
Right, and they're with maternal grandmother?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, where does your client live?
Part of that cut out, Your Honor. Can you repeat?
Where does your client live?
He lives in Divine, Texas.
Okay.
Down by San
I thought it was somewhere south. Okay. Based on what I've heard then and the agreement of the parties, I will find the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator of the children, Cameron Kroll and Brianna Perez, and find that there is continuing and ongoing danger to return the children to the care of mother and either father at this point in time, and that I will redirect the child support that's already ordered to be paid by Mr. Kroll and by Mr. Perez to the department. I will continue the children's placement at this time, and our status hearing is scheduled for August 23rd of 2023. And that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. So stay in touch with your workers, caseworkers, and ultimately with your attorneys. And they'll tell you when you need to log in. I appreciate everybody else appearing today, particularly those people appearing that were potential witnesses. So I appreciate your time this morning. I'm sorry to keep you, but you are free to go at this time.